All right, so for months, I've been really concerned that I was not going to have a job, which is normal in America because job loyalty from your employer to you is non existent. And I've been talking about this for years. But you get to a point where the stress of not knowing whether or not you're going to have a job tomorrow starts becoming overwhelming. For me, I just stopped taking care of myself. I stopped taking all my medications. I stopped taking my hair medication. I stopped doing a lot of things because I was just so worried about not having money. And so, as I started neglecting myself, I started gaining weight. My hair was falling out. I wasn't sleeping. I was getting really crappy sleep when I did sleep. I was spending my weekends severely depressed, even more so than usual. I just couldn't function. And yesterday, while I was doing cardio, I came across an article that really taught me a lot about the whole corporate situation, which is care less, stress less. And I thought, wow, that is such a good way of thinking about work because there's nothing you can do about changing your circumstances with your employment. I have wretched employment history. In fact, the life coach that looked at my resume the other day just said that there's no hope. And I knew it. It's not like I didn't know this. I would have left my current job had I had the opportunity years ago. But I just, as a desperation worker, leaving your job because you don't like it doesn't even cross your mind. Because, as I've said before, if you're not working, then you're going onto the street. It's that simple. And it's intended to be that way. The only way they can continue to force the general public into employment is that employment is tied to your very existence, to your overall low quality of life. In fact, I just read a comment from one of my regular viewers that said, I don't know how long I can take this anymore. And I believe you. When most things that shouldn't be luxury items are luxuries, what's the point? When eggs are no longer affordable to the regular person, you can't go on vacation, your wages are stuck in the year 2000, and your employer thinks you're an idiot. And so when I asked ChatGPT to generate a monologue for this video, this is what it said. What if I told you that working hard won't get you promoted, loyalty won't get you rewarded, and caring too much is actually hurting you? That's what it wrote. And I think that ChatGPT's actually become, at least my version of it, much more pessimistic about the future. And with this current Cheeto in chief, most Americans are seeing that rich people don't have our best interest in mind at all. In fact, I think that more people are waking up to the realization that the system is entirely designed for the proletariat to fail intentionally and with a certain aggressiveness that most of us have never seen before. Yesterday, while I was talking, I spent the whole day talking to people. I think I had like 300 text messages when I finally deleted all my messages for the day because at the end of the night, I delete everything. So that way I start new. And I I heard the phrase house poor so many times yesterday that I was beginning to think that maybe it was just me. A lot of us, when we think about these things that I talk about in this channel, we don't like talking to about these things out loud because it makes us feel bad, like it's our fault, like we're the losers, like there's something we did wrong in life to become losers. But what I like to say on this channel is you're not a loser because of a lack of trying. In fact, most people that watch this channel are probably pretty hardworking people that just don't understand why things have to be this way. And I'll tell you one simple reason why things have to be this way. Because rich people are sick. Their greed, their disdain, Their hatred for the proletariat is so much so, it's just hanging out right now. And they don't care. I mean, yesterday I was looking at the news and they used a SWAT team vehicle to knock down the door of a 65-year-old man so that they could deport him that had been living in this country for all of his life. And you're like, oh my God, don't they have anything better to do? Like, honestly, I mean, the amount of resources this country has, and uses in order to torment people is it remarkable. Yesterday, I also read that they did an annual count of the homeless, and there are way more homeless than you could ever imagine. Yesterday, when I was driving back from lunch, I was every few hundred yards, there was a new one on the street. Not even at every street corner, at every bus stop, on the sidewalk, on both sides of the street. It's like we're living in a dystopian hellscape already. And that's just the homeless. I mean, that doesn't include the people that are living in survival mode, the people that are working but get a paycheck and don't see it, like myself. When I get paid on Friday, that paycheck's gone before it even hits my bank account. We're not homeless, but we're pretty damn close to being there. And with that said, that rant's over. I have my 4 talking points. I'm not certain when I'm going to put this video up, depending on how it goes. I've already created everything about this video. I already have the thumbnail, the description, the art, everything is already been created. So all I have to do is drop the audio on it and it's done. So not certain if when I'll put it up, but here we go. Working hard doesn't equal promotions. Promotions aren't based on merit or productivity. They're based on who likes you and who vouches for you. This I completely understand. Yesterday, I spent most of my day talking to one of the high-level people that works with the executives. In fact, when I told her that that I was being monitored at work, this is how eerie that conversation went. She's like, "I'm well aware of what the corporation is doing to you." And I was just like, "Oh my God." That was the strangest answer I've ever gotten from what I would say an ordinary person at work that likes me a little too much. But we spent the whole day talking. I'm not kidding you. From the moment I walked into work, she started messaging me. That's how you know the person likes you. When they come looking for you, not the other way around. And so, towards the end of the day, I think it was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she sent me her personal number, and she said, "Call me." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Oh my gosh. Even my Gen Z, because I had to switch off my headset in order to be able to talk to her because for some reason my wireless headset just stopped working. And the sad part is I've sat in meetings talking to the group in the meeting, and I was talking and people were just talking over me, and I just kept talking and talking, and I didn't realize this until yesterday that no one can hear me. So so I've been going into meetings and talking, and no, this is how unpopular I am. No one even bothered to tell me that they couldn't hear me. I had to find out myself because she kept like, "Millennial Steam, why aren't you talking?" And I kept talking to her. It's like, I am talking. And she's like, "If you're talking, I can't hear you." And I'm like, "Oh my God, my headset doesn't work." I don't know if it's just glitchy or it just hasn't worked, but that was a real eye opener that no one else had said anything to me. Anyhow, where I was going with that is this is a person who I would say is a strong advocate for me. She's probably one of the reasons why I still have a job. Because this is a woman that knows that if I need something done, this is the guy I call. He'll get it done instantaneously and he will do it in a way in which I will enjoy spending time with him. That's not something you can say about the technology group. Most people would rather run into oncoming traffic than sit down and have a conversation with anyone that works in the technology group. She, on the other hand, I mentioned to her that we should just start having lunch together, even brought up the possibility of us volunteering together because we get certain days off at the corporation for doing volunteer work. And so she's like, we should do it together. And I was like, wow, now that is a person that truly likes you. Talking point number 2, your job is designed to replace you. Large companies operate like machines. Your role is a tiny, replaceable cog. If you left tomorrow, your company would post your job before your chair even got cold. That's how little you matter to them. I would disagree. There are certain positions that are incredibly difficult to fill and have extremely high turnover. My office is one of those extremely high turnover areas. Every person that has worked in my area is gone within less than a year. Most of my Gen Zs last three months, maybe 6 if they truly hate themselves. But the management, like I've said, 5 senior managers in 3 years, that's not a good ratio. And the reason for that is because this job is hard, it is stressful, and it is complicated. It is a job in which I am managing resources, and sometimes these resources, it's not obvious what you're supposed to do. Yesterday, I got into a bit of a struggle with my boss because, on the one hand, they want to try to reuse every piece of junk that we have in order to save money. But on the other hand, there's a fine line between how much junk they want to save and whether or not they want to spend money to fix the junk. And yesterday I found out that they'd rather throw it away rather than fixing it because it's not worth it, which contradicts what I had been told earlier. And those contradictions between what you're told today and what you're going to be told tomorrow are a constant tension between the management in that position and the upper level people. And the only reason I've managed to keep my job this long is I'm a desperation worker. They can treat me like crap, they can call me names, they can ignore me, they can do whatever they want. And until they find a good reason, HR is going to be like, nope, he's doing his job, sorry. And I've seen them do this to other people in other positions, like he's not doing anything wrong. So your personal dislikes aren't cause for termination. And when you're a high performing, high visibility worker like myself, it becomes that much more difficult because when the executives know your name, that is a very difficult position to be in as a person that has to be responsible for that person because they don't know your name as the management of that team, but they know your worker's name by reputation because he has the reputation of getting things done for high level people. That's how that worker maintains their job. As long as the executives know who you are and where you work, and that you're 100% reliable, that you're the man that works nights and weekends if necessary, that's a great position to be in. Not so much for the person who signs your paycheck, though. Talking point number 3, loyalty is a trap. The best way to increase your salary, leave. Simply leave. Each new job is a chance for a significant pay bump. This is a discussion that Gen Z and I had yesterday because no matter how many times I've told him, he doesn't listen. Somehow he still has this crazy idea that he's going to climb the corporate ladder in one of the most temporary positions in the entire company. This job is literally working at McDonald's, serving up Happy Meals all day long. And I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's a generation but he still has this crazy belief that somehow he's going to get promoted. And I keep asking him, like, what do you think you're going to get promoted to? And he keeps having these ideas about working remote. And I'm like, your job, how are you going to work remote if your job at McDonald's is making Happy Meals? Like, I don't get Gen Z and their unrealistic standards. If climbing the ladder in a corporation was that easy, why would anyone leave? But the reality is, you need to leave if you're going to get more money. Unfortunately, since his whole life's been spent working in fast food and retail, he's got nothing on his resume. And that's another thing that I don't get about Gen Z. They know that corporations are looking for people with 5 to 10 years of experience for entry level wages. You're talking about sub $20 an hour for people that are extremely experienced and have a great deal of education. Now imagine you're Gen Z, liberal arts degree, no experience, and looking for a six-figure salary. They don't exist in the same universe. Even the people that I know right now who are extremely skilled with years and years of experience, they're struggling to find work. In fact, yesterday, while I was watching a video during my cardio, they were talking about how difficult it is just to land any job. And the truth is that most job postings that you see on Indeed or any job site are old, or they're not really hiring for that position. In fact, the statistic, and I think this is actually high, is you have a 3% chance at getting any job that you apply to online. And the reason for that is the competition for every job that's halfway decent is immense. We haven't seen competition for entry level jobs like this in 20 years. It's been a long time where everyone's trying to get a better job. Everyone wants to leave their current job in order to make more money. And that causes the competition to be fierce. Resumes have to be specifically written for every single job that you apply to, because if you apply with a generic resume, I assure you, you're going to be like me. Spent 6 months sending resumes out to various jobs, all kinds of different jobs, right? With zero to no contact back from any one of these companies. Their uh, their what do you call it? The software that they use in order to scan resumes instantly rejects almost 99% of the applicants that apply for jobs. It's only going to let through those those unicorn resumes, and their applicant tracking systems are designed specifically to weed out people who are just spamming the jobs. And so you could submit hundreds, if not thousands, of applications, and the applicant tracking software could reject you for the rest of your life. Remember, that's something I talk about on this channel all the time, is that you could spend the rest of your life looking for a good job and still be stuck serving Happy Meals at McDonald's. And that's where Gen Z's at. And he refuses to acknowledge that. In fact, his latest ideas on what he's going to do for money are, and get this, he's gotten to the point where he's going to start having to sell his bodily liquids in order to be able to cover rent every month. So he's become a plasma donor, not because he wants to, but out of the sheer necessity to make enough money to be able to pay his rent. And we're going to get to our last talking point here. Care less, win more. Most people are overstressed at work because they care too much about things they can't control. And that is me. I am guilty as hell about that. Even now, I wake up at night thinking about work and wondering whether or not I need to do this today or that. But it's entirely out of my control because every day is different at my job. I don't know what's going to break. I don't know what's going to happen with different people. I don't know who's going to get fired today. It could be me. You never know. Because as I was talking to this work friend yesterday, when I mentioned the high level of terminations over the last few months, she said this to me: it was necessary in order for the organization to be more profitable. That's how she put it to me. And I was like, geez, that's terrible. All right, so moving on to toxic positivity. Because it shifts the blame. Suddenly, it's not about the low pay, the long hours, or the terrible management. It's about your attitude. I've heard this a lot in my job. All I did was type in toxic positivity to ChatGPT, and that's what it wrote. Because it shifts the blame away from the corporation. Because if you don't want to come to work to be a loyal cog, then they don't need you. They don't want people showing up at work with a negative attitude and a frown. They want people to show up at work with a smile and assume the position every single morning because it's going to be rough. And they like it that way because it's always the hard way at the corporation.